On February 6, 2023, a 7.8 magnitude earthquake happened.
I always pray for Syria. Syria is a beautiful place.
Was it easier? Was it very difficult?
Nothing lasts forever.
Your English is excellent.
It was very challenging and my English was almost enough.
Quick questions, okay? Who can donate plasma?
So you have to be 16 and older.
How many times a person can donate plasma? What should I do? Where should I reach? What is the procedure?
The need is high, but I'm sure as a community, if we do come together, we can make it happen.
But you are never gonna get back to your country. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the show. You are listening to CKLU 96.7, your station. My name is Arjun. The show is Beyond the Borders with Arjun Season 1, Episode 11. Thank you so much for listening to us all over the world by cklu.ca and by 96.7. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we have truly inspiring story that highlights resilience, determinations, and passion for giving back to the community. Joining us is Rida Alzahran, a fourth-year Kinesiology student at Laurentian University who had journeyed from the heart of war-torn Syria to the quiet town of Capril in northern Ontario. Rida's story is not just about turning challenges into opportunity. After arriving in Canada as a young refugee, he quickly became a pillar in his community, dedicated himself to both studies and volunteer work as the co-president of the NextGen Lifeline Club and a team champion with Canadian Blood Services. Rida is on the front lines of raising awareness about urgent need for blood and plasma donations. And when he is not in class or leading community initiatives, you will find him working as a Ward Clerk at the Health Sciences North, gaining first-hand experience in the healthcare field. Rida is driven by a powerful goal to become a physician and serve the rural communities of Northern Ontario, where healthcare needs are often underserved. His journey from the refugee to future doctor is a testament to what can be achieved with determinations and heart for service. Today we'll be listening more about Rida's incredible journey, his dedication to his community, and his vision for the future. So let me welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Rida Alzahran. Welcome to the show.
It is both a pleasure and to be here with you today.
Marhaba.
Ahlan wa sahlan.
Sukaran.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
How do you say hello in your
You said it perfectly. So hello means marhaban, or marhaba means hello, sorry.
Welcome means?
Welcome. Ahlan wa sahlan.
Okay, and thank you means?
Shukran.
Shukran. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's both an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today.
All right. So Rida, your journey from Syria to Canada is nothing sort of remarkable. You moved to Canada at a very young age and faced tough times, very difficult times, those challenging years, So what challenges in Syria lead you and your family to seek refuge in Lebanon and eventually immigrate to Canada? I want to begin from there.
Yeah, for sure. So again, the civil war broke out back in 2011 in Syria, which was at the time I was only 7 years old. So before 2011, there was nothing happening. It was just a normal life. I was just a child. All I remember was playing with cousins and siblings. And it's almost a nightmare when what happened in 2011, which was during the I think it was March of 2011.
Okay.
Soon we kept hearing the news how other cities were going through like bombing and killing and destruction, which is to us was like wow. I mean, we never thought we were gonna reach that point. And soon that reality and that nightmare kind of shifted to where we live, which is the northern part of Syria. And then we stayed in Syria for 2 years. So from 2011 all the way to 2013, we stayed there because we were just hoping that this would just shift away or stop or end. But unfortunately, it never did, and we had to live through a lot of struggles and just life-threatening moments. During that time, we witnessed a lot of fightings between different ends and different parts. We had to spend days and nights underground, when fights broke out. So it really became to the point that life was life-threatening, and we were just escaping from one place to the other, hoping to not be one of the casualties. And unfortunately, as a child, even though I was 7 and then to 2013 I was 9, I witnessed a lot of horror things that no child should be exposed to.
Yeah, you want to say some memories? I'm sure it was gonna be very worst feeling ever when that happened. Can you please share your memory? Can you remember something when you were a child?
For sure. So the worst thing to me was how distressed everybody was. My parents, I saw my mother and my father always crying. At first I was confused. I wasn't sure what's going on, because as a child you don't comprehend or understand as an adult. So I was just almost lost. I just, as a child you want things the way you want. I wasn't expecting that to happen. Also seeing, it was almost like slowly people like fading away or leaving, because people had to escape. Some stayed, some left. So my friends were leaving, my cousins were leaving. Family was just, because we were just one big family, or the town I lived in, we're just one big community, and that community was slowly leaving or going away. So, and also what I remember is spending, for example, nights underground to escape fightings and stuff, and I can just remember the screaming of kids or the sick people around us. We're just kind of waiting for our fate. We never know what was going to happen the next morning or the other day. So that was just a big struggle for us, and as a child it was a lot.
Yeah, and within Syria it's like 7.2 million people are displaced, the largest number worldwide and the highest since the conflict start against Syrian government March 15, 2011. So Syrian refugees have sought asylum in more than 137 countries, with 73% hosted by neighboring countries Turkey. As per the record, 3 million Syrian living there in Turkey, and then after Lebanon and Jordan. So why did you decide to come in Canada? Why not in settling back to Lebanon or Jordan in your neighboring countries?
Yeah, again, it's really unfortunate what happened to the Syrian people. So, for example, my family, we never wanted to leave our home. We're just kind of pushing it forward. No, things are going to go away. But it got to a point, again, it was too dangerous. And my parents are like, you know what, we have to leave. And the only choice that we had at the time was Lebanon, which is the neighboring country to Syria. So that was, even though the journey to live in Syria was an experience. So we settled in Lebanon from 2013 all the way to 2016, but things were also, slowly getting worse, especially as a foreigner and as a refugee in Lebanon. You can face discrimination. To find job is much harder. So to make a living for my parents were working much harder, and things were still, even though they're working a lot, there's still the income or things are still getting worse. Because it's, again, when you were just someone from another country living in a new community where you can stand out so easily, sometimes you can face mistreatment, which was always a lot for us to take in. And so the only option we had is Lebanon. We were just looking for safety, so why not? That was the choice for us. But again, because things were getting worse, hope was also going away. So as time went by, my parents were just becoming hopeless. Okay, so if Lebanon is not gonna accept us anymore, or things are gonna go wrong here, what are we gonna do? We have a big family. I'm one of 7 kids. So my parents were just like, I don't know what we're gonna do next. And then one day we got a call from the refugee agency in Lebanon. They're like, hey, do you wanna seek refuge in another country? My parents were like, for sure. And that's when I guess hope came back to us as a family. Then now maybe we have hope for the future.
Yeah. Okay, so last year, on February 6, 2023, a 7.8 magnitude earthquake happened, that devastated Syria, resulting tens of thousands of casualties and displacing hundreds of thousands of people. So, did you remember that moment? You were already in Canada, that time? So, how do you remember that
so
time?
it was a very unfortunate event. So because things were already very bad and very unsettled in Syria, especially the northern part, which was the part that got hit the most. So things were already just all over the place for people. People are barely living with the living conditions that they're going through now. So the earthquake just made it much worse. Displaced people even more. They've been displaced. You just mentioned how many countries that there's displaced in. Just imagine in Syria how much people are displaced. So that event just made it worse for people, and it was a very unfortunate thing to witness for sure. We have family that got impacted by it, but again, it just led to more suffering and then more of a challenge in life.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I want to get back to your journey from Lebanon to Canada. How it happened? Was it easier? Was it very difficult to manage to get in here? I want to listen from you. What was the situation that time?
For sure. So again, that call for Canada was a beacon of hope. After it was kind of lost completely. And it was sudden too, because I remember, I think my dad told us the story. He was just at work and he just received a sudden phone call, and then, hey, do you wanna seek refuge? And it was like, yeah. So it was I can remember it was a very difficult process. There was so much interviews, so much paperwork to do, so a lot of different steps that you had to follow and make sure no mistakes are done. So it was a very complex and intense process. But my parents were so determined and committed, because that was the only hope left. If you miss it or miss it, it's over. Because you can't go back to Syria and things are bad in Lebanon. This was the only way for us. So my parents were determined and committed to making it happen, but it was very difficult. Again, a lot of paperwork, a lot of interviews, a lot of things to fill, a lot of requirements, and they had to be perfect, because if you make a mistake somewhere, then you're disqualified, and it goes to another family. And you can imagine there's millions of people in Lebanon, so everyone is seeking that opportunity. So if you don't qualify for it, there's definitely another family that can take it.
Okay, the worst thing is, like, you are in Canada, but you are never gonna get back to your country. How it feels, Rida?
It really hurts. After this so many years passed, I can definitely call Capriol, the town I came in, and Sudbury home. But you always have that kind of, I guess, inside you, the desire to go for even just a visit and see the family that you have there that's still stuck in Syria. So it's always there, but I guess we humans, we tend to kind of adapt with the situation that we're in, and then I feel like we're always hopeful. We're always hopeful that it's gonna happen someday. So hopeful, but because to be honest, you have to find ways to kind of keep going in life. You can't be stuck somewhere and then give up. So it hurts, but we're still hopeful, and we're still very fortunate and grateful to be here.
All right. So all we can do is let's pray for Syria, for peace and unity in these difficult times.
For sure.
What do you want to say to the Syrian people right now? You're thinking about your country, thinking about your childhood, you spent in there.
For sure. I always pray for Syria. Syria is a beautiful place. And the Syrian people are very strong. So I just tell them, do not give up, stay strong, and I'm sure it's gonna get better for sure, because nothing lasts forever. But before the conflict, Syria was a beautiful place. Syria was a tourist destination. So a lot of people from all over the place gave Syria visits before. So stay strong. It's gonna get better, and we cannot wait to visit you, Syria.
Of course. Let's be positive. Let's be hopeful. All right.
Exactly.
So the journey just started. Okay, Rida, what was the hardest part of starting over in Canada? How did you manage to turn those challenges in success right after coming in here?
So again, always starting fresh is always hard.
Yeah.
So when we moved to Lebanon, we had to start fresh, and it was hard. And then when we moved to Canada, we also had to start fresh. But only the thing that is different, Lebanon is it's similar to Syria in terms of the community, the people. So it's not as bad. But when we moved to Canada, I was almost, the culture is different, the way of living is different. So you had to integrate to a new. So it was a lot of exploration, and then we had to find how we can integrate into this brand new community to us. And I remember my parents, it's a funny story, they said when we landed in Pearson and they looked out of the window, they're like, oh my goodness, everything looks white. Where's the people? Or, because we landed here during the winter in January.
Oh my
goodness. Yeah, so that was a welcome for us. But yeah, when we landed and then we moved to Cape York, which is a small town about half an hour from Sudbury, and the community is very small. I think it's about 3,000 to 3,500 the population. So when we landed, we just had to explore, learn, and we were so lucky that we were surrounded by an awesome group that helped us through the journey. And we were from the time we landed, we were committed that we're gonna make the best out of this. We're gonna start fresh. We're gonna we're going to give back to this community and do our best to kind of understand and then to be able to, be part of the community.
All right. In that initial years, in that challenging years when you first landed in Canada, what was the situation? Everything was settled? Like you guys have your apartment in there, you guys have your job already in here, everything was settled and you came in here, or you had to start from zero?
I wouldn't say settled, but I can say we were welcomed. Our group was doing their best to make sure that we settle. But my parents and my siblings and myself, we were just kind of like, oh, okay, so we're in this new place. What's going on? So it's kind of a lot of exploration again. So yeah, when we moved to Cape York, we had an apartment and everything was prepared by our group, which was awesome. But my parents and ourselves, we had to go through a journey of getting ourselves familiar with the place, see how others gonna perceive us. So it's a lot of like anxiety, I guess, anxious. And again, we were so far from home and so far from Lebanon. It was a long journey, right? And then that also played a part on us. But again, and the thing is, when we came here, we were on the second Syrian family in Sudbury. So in Cape York, I think we were just the only Syrians and Middle Easterns. So that was also kind of difficult for us to kind of integrate, because we had no other family that we can speak to or have see and interact with. So we were the only Syrians, Middle Easterns in Cape York. But we were fortunate enough that we were welcomed by the majority of the community, and we were able over time to kind of the new culture and traditions, and we were able to integrate successfully.
So, what is the recent scenario? How many Syrian families lived here in Sudbury? Or if you have to talk about Canada, what's this condition right now?
Well, in Cape York, we obviously now it's zero since we had to move to Sudbury. In Sudbury, there was I think about 5 families, but most of them left and they they moved to Toronto and other places, bigger places. But my family, my parents and my family and us, we stayed. We came to this place. We're gonna stay in this place. This place welcomed us, so we're gonna stay. We're gonna finish our studies. We're gonna work and give back to this community. Enough moving. We had enough moving in our lives. And the place that welcomed us, the only right way for us is to work here and give back here.
Giving back to community.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to talk about giving back to community in a while. But before that, let's talk about some problems you faced while moving in here. Moving to a new country at such young age, and especially with the language barriers or to adapting a new culture, must have been difficult. So why was improving your English skills so important when you first arrived, and what steps did you take to excel in the language?
It was very challenging at the beginning, because a few days later we were just introduced to elementary school. At the time when I came, I was grade 7, so it was very challenging, and my English was almost to nothing. So when I was in grade 7, when I was there at school, I couldn't communicate. And when we can't communicate with others, it's really hard to kind of interact.
So back home, you never studied English. You never spoke in English, or
it was part of the education, but it was very basic. So maybe hi, my name this, I'm from that place. Nothing more. But when I was in Capril attending my CRJET, which is a school that I appreciate a lot, it was very hard. I couldn't communicate to my classmates. I couldn't communicate with my teachers. So it was very hard, and I was still doing my best, using translations and stuff like that. But I remember at the time technology was not as much as now. But so just imagine not being able to kind of understand the lessons or understand what my friends are saying to me. It was hard. But again, I was so determined at the time that we had to overcome this. So there was a community volunteer that came to the school. They gave us extra English things where we had to read books, write stories as a way to kind of make it up and get better. But again, it was very challenging. And for us as a family, it was my parents. I think they had the most struggle. Because learning a language, as an adult, it's much harder than a child.
True.
So it was very, very challenging for them. But so they had to take the city bus to Sudbury, and then they had to attend an English class in here. And it was a lot of practice at home, a lot of studying, which is funny because as an adult and have family now you have to have time to study. So and then take care of a family of 7 kids. So it's very challenging for them. And when you don't have the language, you can't really integrate into the community. So that point, to be able to kind of succeed and become part of the community, you have to have that language. So at the beginning, it was hard, but over time, we can slowly get better.
All right. After listening to you right now, you have improved a lot. Your English is excellent.
Thank you.
How did you find your English right now?
I think it's good, but there's always room for improvement. I always have the aspiration to also learn French, which is the second official language of Canada.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to help me in the future to interact and communicate with more people. But there's always room for improvement. But again, a lot of work, a lot of sweats, a lot of a lot of crying, a lot of hard times to get to this point. You have to start somewhere and then make it your way. But again, you have to stay committed and have a vision.
True, you have gone through a lot of tough times, ups and downs, lowest of the lows,
For sure.
But then also you have come through this long, And right now, as a co-president of the NextGen Lifeline Club, you have been actively raising awareness about the critical need for blood and plasma donations. What motivates you to dedicate so much of your time to this cause, and how do you hope it will impact your community? What do you want to say about this?
For sure. So again, as a commitment to giving back to the community, my siblings and myself, we always wanted to, we have a mission that we want to do as much as we can, along with studying and work, to give back to this awesome community. And when this opportunity came to me, to become a member of NextGen Lifeline, which is it's a small club. It's getting bigger and bigger at Laurentian University. I was like, for sure, because I saw the dire need of plasma and blood across Canada. A few weeks ago, I saw a post by Canadian Blood Services. They said to meet patient needs, you need 22,000 appointments filled weekly, and I'm pretty sure that number is increasing every week. Because patient needs are increasing. So when I saw that, I was like, I have to get involved in this no matter what. And a lot of work, a lot of involvement in the club and in Sudbury. I was fortunate to become the president or co-president of that club. And now we're working to make sure we spread the awareness as much as we can on campus and outside campus to get as many people as possible involved in donating plasma or become volunteers. And again, if people would like to join, it's called NextGen Sudbury on Instagram, or just check blood.ca and submit an application to join, either as a member or a volunteer, or again, book your appointment, which would be much appreciated.
All right, you also working as team champion at Canadian Blood Services. What does it do, what do you do as a team champion in Canada Blood Services? For
sure. So again, as I always wanted to expand, I'm part of the Muslim Association or Muslim community here in Sudbury.
Okay.
And I thought, why not spread that awareness within that community? So I became team champion, and then what I do is every once in a while I run an awareness event where I talk to people, explain to them the situation, and if they have questions or concerns, I do my best to answer them as a way to kind of get them slowly. It takes time, because when you introduce a new idea to a community, at the beginning they're hesitant, they have their questions, which is completely fine. So I do my best to run some events. And recently, my family and I, we ran the first donation drive as a way to kind of encourage people. So my mom, my father, my brothers, we went to the center, and myself, we donated plasma, and then we posted on our social media. Mm-hmm. So as a way to kind of give back to the community and show appreciation, I do my best to spread that awareness of the need of plasma and blood in my community.
Okay, so you just mentioned 22,000 donations appointments are needed weekly to meet patients' needs. So I want to ask you some quick questions, okay? Who can donate plasma?
Yeah, so again, the need is big, and the need is increasing more and more. So you have to be, the criteria is eligibility is expanding. So you have to be 16 and older, and you can always reach out to me or look on the website, blood.ca. To be honest, a lot of people are eligible. You just have to go for it. A lot of people, sometimes they push it forward. So yeah, the minimum age is 16. There's specifics about medications and stuff like that, if you travel or not. But again, I'm sure a lot of people are eligible. And again, I truly and highly recommend that people check out blood.ca or follow us on Instagram at NextGen Sudbury. And we can always, I'm always open to answering any questions or concerns.
All right, one more question. How many times a person can donate plasma?
If you want to really be committed, you can do it every week.
Every week?
Every week to donate plasma. But again, if you want to start small at the beginning, do it maybe twice a month.
Okay.
Just put it in your schedule. When I tell people is just put it part of your schedule. Don't just kind of keep it whenever you remember to do it. Put it in your schedule. Say, I want to donate plasma on this day or whatever, and then do the appointment. And the center here in Sudbury, it's open on Saturdays. So if you're busy from Monday to Friday, it's not an issue. It's open on Saturday from, I'm pretty sure, all the way to 3:30 p.m. So there's a lot of openings for appointments. Even if you walk in, if you really forgot to make an appointment, walk in. Maybe there is a seat open for you. But again, make it part of your routine.
Okay.
And make a difference.
So if I have to simplify it, what are the steps to donate? Like if I want to donate my plasma every week or twice in a month, so what are the steps? What should I do? Where should I reach? What is the procedures?
It's very easy.
Okay.
Again, there's a lot of information on blood.ca, and there's a very nice app. It's called Give Blood.
Give Blood.
Give Blood, yeah.
Okay.
You can download it on iPhone or Samsung, whatever.
Okay.
And it's a very friendly user app where you can make appointments fairly easy and stuff like that. The steps are easy, they're smooth, and it's gonna be. And after every time you donate plasma, you're gonna feel very good. Because when I did it, I felt because that plasma you're donating, it's gonna save someone's life, or it's gonna go to medications or something like that. So the steps are easy, they're very few. And if you donate the app, it's Give Blood, it makes it even easier.
But we know the need is very big, But then also why people are not willing to donate their blood? What is the misconception behind this? Or why the people are not reaching to the right place and why they are not donating? What's the reason? What do you think?
I think we just have to do more. So as leaders and as Canadian Blood Services in Sudbury and as the youth, we just have to spread the awareness just a bit more. I feel like, because every time I had a conversation with somebody, the first thing they say, oh yeah, this is very interesting to me. I would like to do this. And they have a few, sometimes some of them have a few questions or concerns. Once you explain to them, they're like, oh, okay, how can I make an appointment? So, it's really quick that people come to be willing to make an appointment. So we just have to spread awareness more and more, which is why I wanted to become a co-president of NextGen, to be able to change a few things, spread awareness, make it big on campus and outside campus, and help people make appointments if need to be.
All right. In the context of Sudbury, how high is the demand of plasma, and is it accessible to everyone with no cost? What's the scenario in Sudbury?
Well, again, patient need is high across Canada. And a lot of people ask, well, why is Canada having an issue with plasma, and why is it not happening? I think there's different factors. I'm not fully informed of why it's the way it is, but I feel like to maintain the quality of plasma and to make sure our system is good and up to standards, it is the way it is. And we as part of the, whether you're a volunteer or a member of a club or part of Canadian Blood Services, we just have to do our best to kind of spread awareness and meet that patient need. But because that need is increasing, and we want to make sure that when a person is having an operation done, or when someone hasn't happened to go into an accident, there's the needed plasma or blood for them. So yeah, the need is high, but I'm sure as a community, if we do come together, we can make it happen.
So you are now in your 4th year of kinesiology with aspirations of becoming a physician, particularly in rural northern Ontario. So what inspired you to pursue a career in healthcare, and how has your personal journey influenced this decision?
For sure, I feel like there's different factors. It's the journey I went through, and for example, when in Syria, when services became hard to obtain and stuff like that, when you see the need of healthcare professionals, especially, and when you move on to Lebanon and to Syria, Canada. So from a young age, I had the aspiration to become a physician, and throughout the journey and experiences that I had, that desire is solidified within me. And here in Canada, from day one when I landed, I know my goal, I worked for it, and now, as you mentioned, I'm a 4th year kinesiology student at Laurentian University, and it's an awesome program. I feel like it's preparing me well for medical school, and as a way to kind of, when I saw the giving here in my community in both in Capital and Sudbury, I felt like I need to do something to give back to the community, to repay what I received, even though it's going to be hard to kind of give back the same amount that I received. And if you see the reports, new data shows that 2.5 million Ontarians are without family doctors, and which is concerning. And that issue is even it's more and more critical if you look at Northern Ontario and the rural communities like Sudbury and other even more rural communities. And I recently read an article by Dr. Verma and other 2 physicians well known, and they mentioned that if the things continue the same, by 2026 we're going to have 4.4 million Ontarians without family doctors. And when I see that, my goal becomes, I want to even work harder to achieve and become a physician. And one of my interests is family medicine indeed. And to become a family physician, my desire to kind of give back to the community is going to be fulfilled, and I really look forward to joining a medical school and obtaining that goal. So
how do you plan to address the current shortage of family doctors in Ontario through your career? What's your plan?
It's really hard on a personal level, but I feel like if we all come together, if we follow the suggestions of those experienced doctors like Dr. Verma, but I can at least do my part. I can work hard, get into medical school, graduate, become a family doctor, and be part of the solution and give back to the community. But again, it's very hard. We have to all come together and do our part and give back to the communities, especially those communities that are underserved in Northern Ontario. I mean, if you go down to Toronto or other cities, it could be not as bad, but this is why I want to become a physician and stay in the North and give back to the North. The North that welcomed me, I want to make sure that I serve it.
Okay, if you have to give any suggestion to the government of Canada, what do you want to say?
I'm not sure what I can...
To improve the current situation?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot... it's not an easy question and not as easy to answer it. But I feel like we have to listen to the experts in this field. We have to come together, follow the plans, because when I read the article by Dr. Verma and the other 2 well-known physicians, they said there's different plans we can take, and it's more affordable. So when people think of a new plans, they think it's more expensive. But no, the plans that are suggested, which is exciting, they're more affordable. And so if you listen to those well-known experts in the field, we can definitely find solutions. And on a personal level, I can just say, I'm going to work hard into becoming a physician and do my best and be part of the solution.
So you just tell, like 2.5 million Ontario people are without family doctors. If I don't have a family doctor, what problem I have to face, I have to go through if I don't have a family doctor?
Yeah, it's very frustrating because, family doctors are almost the back of the medical field. So if you don't have a family doctor, the only option is to either go to an emergency, walk-in clinics, and when people use emergency departments as their way to kind of compensate because we don't have a family doctor or it takes too long to get an appointment, you're putting more pressure on hospitals and because if you go to the emergency and just go whenever you want and you can see how crowded it is and the wait times are very high and in some communities, especially in the north and the rural north, there's not enough physicians in the emergency to even serve people. So it's really a concern. So not having a family doctor is an issue, but also hospitals are also taking that pressure, which is another issue. So we have to act fast, come together, find solutions.
Rida, you are just 20, right?
21.
21. You are in your 21 and you're balancing your studies, your community services and a job. And you're thinking of, healthcare system as a future family physician, And how do you manage these responsibilities and how do these experiences prepare you for your future role as a physician in Northern Ontario?
For sure, it's very hard, but I feel like from the experiences that I had and what I went through to make it to this point, I feel like I have that perseverance or determination or commitment. But you really want to have passion, and I really have a passion for what I'm looking forward to doing. And it is really hard to balance school, being part of the community, job, also working. I work at the hospital, so it's really hard. But I feel like it gives you a lot of experiences, and through these experiences, you develop skills that help you balance time management and sorting yourself out and see how you can manage things all at the same time. So it is really hard, but through my journey from Syria, Lebanon, Canada, what I lived through, what I worked through and stuff like that, it taught me a lot of important skills and abilities. I have to stay committed, have passion, and hopefully you'll make it.
All right. Almost at the end, Rida. So what message you want to give to those who are listening to us right now and those who don't have patience label, who are going through difficult times, challenging time of their life? What do you want to say to them?
Just stay hopeful. And hopefully they get inspired because I came here without a language. I started from nothing. And it was a very challenging, and it is okay to be challenged or stressed, but make sure that you seek the needed help or the resources that you need, and surround yourself with those who can provide to help you out. But just stay hopeful, keep working hard, and then you'll make it. This community is awesome. It really is a welcoming community. It's a community for people to thrive in, and as long as you keep working hard. And I hope my story can inspire some people. For sure. Yes, I'm sure everybody is inspired by listening to you and your story. And at last, we should not forget your parents, okay? So anything you want to say to your parents? For sure. I cannot thank enough my parents. My parents had to sacrifice everything essentially and leave home first time and leave Lebanon and come here. And they had to go through things they never thought they're going to go through. Doing school at the time they came, stay committed, keep the family together, in a new community, in a new country, so far away from home. My parents had to work really hard to come to this point, and I thank them so much, and I wish them, health and long lives. Thank you, Rida, for your time and for sharing all those memories and for inspiring youth like you. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks to you, and I really appreciate this opportunity. To share my story with everybody, and hopefully this story and this program as a whole can inspire people and give people the hope and encouragement to keep going because they'll be fine. All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.